Hey everybody, welcome back to the final episode of the season of FSI DFS Fantasy NFL Picks. I'm Roasted Mega Rower 31. Just because this is ending doesn't mean that we're going anywhere because NASCAR starts right after Daytona. So I'll be back doing videos for that. I'll do videos for Truck, for Xfinity, for Cup, as much as I can when they actually give us like data and information ahead of time. And baseball will be coming before you know it. It starts at the end of March. So McKinley and I and some others will be doing spring training. So, check out our website for information on that. We usually do it for free to start out with, and sometimes we continue through the whole preseason. So come check that out. Also, I'll probably do some baseball preview videos during spring training too. So try to get that information out to you. We have soccer videos going on. Charlie has been absolutely dominating. Today on the EPL slate, he took about 3,500 and turned it into 21,000. Amazing job. We are so fortunate to have him as a coach. And, if you want to get his cores and his thoughts and his knowledge, then go to our website. It's in the description of the video and sign up. And we've got a 2-month package, which is like about $1 a day. And there's almost a soccer slate every single day and sometimes multiple ones. So it's a very, very good value. And you'll definitely get return on investment with one of the best DFS minds out there. And just check if you play DFS soccer, just check the top of the standings and you'll see Charlie's name all over the place. So, and a lot of our FSI subs also. So, on to football. So, I'm going to do some showdown here, talk about the slate, break it down for you, and then I'll do a couple prop bet stuff for you just for fun. So, um, if you're interested in some squares, we probably have some left also for about $10. So, if you're interested in that, you can put it in the comments below and we'll connect you and get you in for that if you want to play some Super Bowl squares. I think we have about, I think there's like 40 some left. So still some opportunities if you want to get in on that. So anyways, let's get to this slate. Not the Super Bowl I wanted. Ravens fan, so obviously wanted them to beat the Chiefs, and like my heart breaks for Detroit. Really wanted to see them make it, but we have what we have, and let's talk about it. So totals 47.5, which I think is going to be low. To me, I think you got two decent defenses here, and I think it's gonna. I was surprised last year. I was completely wrong last year, and definitely the overhit. This year, I'm back on the under again. I know you've got some really good offensive minds and some, really good talented players, but I just think that this is going to, the passing defenses on both sides are very good. They also have decent pass rushes. So I think that the running game is going to be like what's going to dominate here, which I think is going to keep the score down. So um let me just go team by team and then we'll look at the breakdown. So I know they're up on the screen, but just ignore them for now. So San Francisco side of it. Brock Purdy, they call him a game manager. I know he's kind of like not like that terminology. Like he's better than Trent Dilfer was for my Ravens when they won in 2000 or some other quarterbacks that you consider a game manager. Um, but really, like he's good. His efficiency's actually been better than Holmes, but I just don't see him going out and putting up 300 yards against this. The middle's usually open, but they really do a good job, covering wide receivers and tight ends. So I think like running game, short stuff is where it's going to be at. So Purdy's a GPP for me. I don't think I can play him in cash. McCaffrey, I think, is obviously the best play on the slate. Just his runs, his yards per carry that he gets, and like everything with his package, like how frequently he scores touchdowns in games, and just he's a very good athlete. Can catch the ball in the backfield, can do everything. If there was one um, where I put him as captain, and I think that's going to be very popular, but I don't think you have to. I think you need him in your lineup, and there's ways to maybe win the million and be contrarian by leaving money on the table or like taking some other players to go along with your sixth and still have McCaffrey in there. I highly doubt that unless there's a catastrophic injury or something, and like Elijah Mitchell comes in and like just dominates the game or something weird like that happens, that anybody's going to take down the millionaire with out McCaffrey in their lineup. And I fear just with like all the Sims and stuff out there nowadays that you're gonna have like over 200 people have the same lineup that it's a nut lineup in the millionaire, and then they're all gonna split it, which I mean still is not a bad payout, but you'd rather win it outright if you possibly can. So I think Elijah Mitchell's in play as a GPP, kind of contrarian. He's my second on the punts list there, just because I've seen McCaffrey run the ball down the field and come a little bit banged up, have to go out for a play, and then hand off to Elijah Mitchell, and he runs in. Like I don't see like Purdy like with the tush push, but Purdy, had some runs in the Detroit game and in the playoffs. Like he doesn't, you know, can take off of the ball, and could he score a rushing touchdown? Yes, it's very possible. Is it more likely for like Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson to? Absolutely. I think they want to like hand it off and pound the ball more. But Kyle Juszczyk is like probably my favorite player on the slate because he's practically free. He's $800. And I think, I'm going to have him almost every single lineup because the Kansas City Chiefs, my guess is they're going to do the same thing with Baltimore, and they're going to blitz and blitz and blitz and put a lot of pressure on Purdy. So with that, I think they're going to need to run, but they're also going to need to have heavy personnel out there, and have the fullback for blocking because I think the running game's going to be more effective, and I think he's going to be easily there for him to vulture a touchdown on the goal line. They think it's going to be McCaffrey and they hand off to him, and on a counter play or something. Or, could he catch some balls? And like he doesn't really need to do much at 800 to make value. So I think he's going to be in almost all my lineups. And maybe I'll regret this, but you know what? I think he is somebody that I just have a really good feeling in this game script of what I'm looking like. And I've said before in Showdown, you gotta like build stories. And I think the story is with the pass rush that they're gonna have sometimes, multiple tight ends out there or him out there blocking, just to kind of slow it down. And they're not going to get chunk plays, unless like McCaffrey like breaks one or something, or like some trick plays with Debo. Um, but I think Ushak's going to be very usable and interesting and in the game script. And again, doesn't need to do much to pay off his price tag, and he opens up a lot of salary for you to get the other players that you want. Speaking of Samuel, he's my favorite wide receiver here. I know there are times where it was like kind of like, one week it would be IU, one week it would be Samuel, and it all depends. But I don't think they'll be trailing here. I think that Samuel, the he's back. He should seem to be healthy in the game against Detroit, even though he had a questionable tag going into it. He's had 2 more weeks to rest up. He should be fine. He might get banged up in the game. It seems to happen, but I think that he'll be fine to get enough. And I think that they'll use him in the run game. They'll use him for short passes. They'll use him for gadget plays and things like that. They script for him. Ayuk is more of the downfield guy, and I don't think against this Chiefs D that he's going to catch a lucky ball off of some dude's face mask at like the 1 yard line. He is more of a zone threat, I think, but they seem to prefer to run versus pass when they're down there. So, um, but Ayuk, I think, is a good GPP play. Jennings, Chris Conley, Ray McLeod's more of a special team guy. You really haven't seen him much, and it's like maybe the Super Bowl's the time that they do like is run some gadget play for him. But I think Jennings, Conley, and McLeod are just like 150 max if you like sprinkle them in. I really don't. If you think that for some reason Samuel gets injured because he's kind of injured prone, then maybe Jennings is someone to look at. But I prefer throwing darts at some of the KC guys than these ones, besides maybe Jennings and some GPPs. Kittle, I think, is a great contrarian captain because he's so cheap. Again, with the short passing game, he could become very useful because if they're even though they're really good against the tight ends, I think if he is one, and we've said that like you don't really want to use Kittle like in cash because if all the weapons are there, he's like falls way down on the depth chart. But in this game script, with having a really strong pass defense, I think that he might be one that you want to consider maybe in cash here. And I said, like when we get to the builds, like I think he could be a decent. I don't have him up here as a as a captain, but if you want to flip like the contrarian one when I get there, I'll talk a little bit more about it. I think that he could be a captain, but not like in cash games. That could he be in your cash lineup? Yes, and there's several lineups that I built, and I ended up like in the 6,000 range, and he was like just last guy in for several of them. Warmer and Willis, I mean, maybe, like I said, they might have to have a couple tight ends out there, but they're more blocking guys. Could they run something? I think, again, Juszczyk, like the fringe players, has the better bet, or like Ray McLeod. But, you know, would it shock me? No, but I think the probability of it's probably less than like 5% that Wormley or Willis like catches a red zone touchdown. I think they throw it to a lineman, that reported eligible. And hopefully they do report it, and then they do, like if you watch the Dallas Detroit game and they do say they're eligible, I think you see more of a gadget play like that than one of these backup tight ends. And then Moody, the kicker, I think is okay. Um, if you fall in that price land point, I prefer the kickers over the defenses in cash. So, you just have to look at your game script and decide if you think Butker, Moody, who are, I think, are about like $200 apart, which one makes more sense in your build. KC side of it, Mahomes, like he has had a pedestrian year, but he was looked better in the playoffs, and he's the one that's going to have to kind of put the team on his back and maybe do some heroic things, especially if they're doing ball control McCaffrey and they dominate the clock and keep on the sideline. He might have to get out there and throw the ball. And like again, he really doesn't have the cast of characters or like Tyreek Hill or some of the other ones that he's had in the past. But he's got a better running game this year. He's got a better defense this year, so he hasn't had to do as much. But maybe this is the time he does. Maybe he wants to go out there and try to win an MVP. Um, but I think Holmes is definitely in playing cash if you can get him in there. It's hard with like CMC, especially if he's captain. You're really going to have some marginal players in the rest of your lineup if you try to build that way. But I think he's a key place, especially if you're playing Kelson, if you're playing Rice in your lineups. I think, definitely pairing him with Mahomes makes sense. Pacheco, I like, and it's probably going to be my captain in cash just because, again, I think that Kansas City's very easy on offense. It's Mahomes, it's Pacheco, it's Rice, and it's Kelsey. And that's pretty much when they were struggling, they went to getting those three involved with Mahomes. And that was the winning formula that has got them into the playoffs and has gotten them through the playoffs. Now, other guys have made some plays, but those are the focal points. So Kansas City is really easy. You boil it down to Mahomes, Pacheco, Rice, and Kelsey. But you try to throw in McCaffrey with that, and then you're left with a lot of you have to get two guys that you probably are darts. So, it's hard to get all those ones in. But if you like the Kansas City side and that's where you want to go, then those are the ones you want to look at. So Pacheco's definitely play. Edwards Helini, he did come in the Ravens game. He does look back. He does look um, good, but I think McKinnon's going to be active also. So, I mean, that could take away a little bit. And I think that I don't think it hurts Pacheco as much. I think they really have a lot of confidence in him. I think it hurts Edwards Helini. Um, I know I'm probably saying it wrong. Guys crucify me in the comments for that. But if you watch these videos, you know how I roll. I cannot pronounce names to save my life, and thank God I don't do hockey. But anyways, I don't know if the Cincinnati backup guy that's on the 49ers now, will be um, active at all if McKinnon's back. So again, I probably would shy away from those unless you're playing 150 max and maybe McKinnon or maybe Clyde vultures a touchdown or McKinnon gets like some gadget play, but Pacheco's the one that's going to be the workhorse, and I really like him as cash captain. Rice is the only wide receiver that really matters. Phenomenal rookie year. Started off slow, had some drops and stuff, but I think he's like rounded into form. And these Scaldings there, he's a deep threat. Justin Watson is there also. Richie James, and maybe they could come up with a trick play or so for Hardman still floating around. Tony should be active. Sky Moore, I don't know if he'll be active or not. Like he was the rookie that was supposed to be, but just nobody could like catch the ball or run the routes correctly, and it was just frustrating. So it's just a giant mud puddle here. Um, so out of them, I think Rice is by a billion miles the top choice. Valdez Scanlon in play. Watson, I think strongly in play. I think, there's some home runs out there. And for some YOLOs, Richie James and Tony has a lot to prove. So I have him in the contrarian build because I think, he's probably not going to be signed next year or really needs to do something spectacular to remain on the team or find a home with another team because everybody's going to remember the foot over the line on that play and some of the drops throughout the course of the year. So I think he's got a lot to play for and a lot to prove. And will he be pressing too much and make mistakes while trying to make a big play? Or will he step up and actually show that he belongs as in the NFL as a wide receiver? Who knows? I'll take a shot on some of my contrarian GPP lines with him just in case. Kelsey is definitely, probably the number two target besides Rice, maybe number one in some instances. But San Francisco has a good defense against the pass, but he was just been dominant in the playoffs. So I don't know if this is a swan song or not, if he's going to retire, if he's going to score the game winning touchdown, then propose to Taylor Swift, or what's going to go on with that. Um, but, he's definitely come alive these playoffs and definitely is a force to be reckoned with. Gray is always in the equation too, especially in the red zone. So I don't hesitate to play him in lines too. And then Blake Bell, I don't really think that he's going to be a factor if he's even active. And then we talked about the kickers. So, like I said, for my optimal, I'm taking Pacheco. If you want to put CMC there, I get it, but it really limits what the rest of your lines. So Pacheco, CMC, and Samuel, because I think they're going to design some plays for him. And it wouldn't be surprised if he scores a touchdown. So fill in Mahomes, Kelsey, the kickers, and Rice, and then you'll probably have to take some of the punts to make it work. I have G-Suck in most of my lines, and that opens up so I can get probably 5 players and the last player in I don't absolutely hate. Usually it's probably going to be a kicker. For the GPP, Kelsey and Mahomes, and then going to run back with Ayuk because he's the deep threat. So if they get behind, because Kelsey and Mahomes is going down the field and scoring like they did on the Ravens and just dominating time of possession and putting up points, then they're going to have to pass the ball. And Ayuk hopefully is going to have to do what he did against Detroit. So hopefully that's game script. So that makes pretty a good GPP fill in. The D's would not fill in this GPP line, but you could use the D's if you do think it's going to be a low scoring affair, like I think it's going to be. So uh Kansas City really hasn't put up that many points. Like the AFC title game was like what 17-13. So I think the defenses are going to come to play. I we've seen Mahomes wide receivers make it's not going to be from sacks and probably not from fumbles. We've seen some fumbles from these teams, but it might be from like Purdy throwing interceptions, pressing too much. He had a ton versus the Ravens. He had a couple versus Detroit. We've seen him throw some, even though he's been an efficient game manager, we've seen him throw interceptions, and we've seen Mahomes also. Holmes has only been sacked like once in the playoffs, and Baltimore got him once last game, I believe, only once. But it had been a while before that she's been sacked. Now there are some offensive line issues, and more so with the Chiefs. So maybe that's going to lead to some more sacks with and Joey Bosa. Maybe he gets to him a couple times, but we'll see. But I don't think the D's are going to be like something that you want to put as a captain, but I think they might be in play if you think it's going to be like running backs, D's, and some kickers, and it's going to be probably the most boring Super Bowl ever. Um, was it the Patriots and the Rams where it was just like the ultimate like punt bowl, and that was just game was just like riddled with field goals, and it was a very low scoring one, and they set a record for punts in the Super Bowl. I fear we might be on the lines with something like that, but we'll see. So D's in play for that. Kittle, like I said, he's lower down on the weapons. If you get last man in cash, like it, I think it's more of a GPP play. And then Jennings, like I said, contrarian, I'm going to put Purdy as captain. And hope he has the game of his career. Kittle match with him there, and Tony to run it back with, and then probably I'll just jam in as many 49ers as I can. If you want to put Kittle as captain and have Purdy as like a flex, then that works also. It opens up also. And like I said, cheap captain, give me Juszczyk. And then Mahomes, sorry, that's spelled wrong. You've been probably looking at that for a while now, driving you nuts. And then McCaffrey, and you can get like whoever you want pretty much in that lineup there. And then like I said, Elijah Mitchell, Justin Watson, and Noah Gray are the punts that I'm looking at. And if you want to go deeper, like James, Kadarius, Tony, Ray McLeod would be some of the other ones I would probably consider. So that's what I got for you for that. Let's talk some props. Where we're doing the squares. It's called a site called Run Your Pool, and they have like a free prop thing. So I was looking over it, and so let's just go over these quickly, and because I got some cool things here, and I'll tell you my thoughts on them. So, how long will the national anthem be? Reba McEntire singing it. The choices are over 1 minute and 28 seconds or under. I'm going with the over. If it was a newer singer or somebody that's never done it before, I go with the under because they get nervous, and when you get nervous, and you usually start singing or doing things faster, and just to kind of your body just kind of wants to get through it, get over it. And I think that might be the case of a newer, but she is a veteran. I think she'll savor the moment and like hold out some of the notes, and her stylistically, musically, she's not like a super up-tempo person. So I think, we'll be able to fulfill the 1 minute and 28 seconds and a little bit more. I watched 4 or 5 videos of her singing national anthems on YouTube, and they were anywhere from 128 to like 130, 131. So I think, that's why I want to go on the over for that one. The next question they have is, what will the result of the coins toss be? It's literally a coin flip. I usually go tails because, back in elementary school, somebody told me tails never fail, so we'll go with that. Really have a 50-50 shot on that one. Will the team that wins the coin toss win the game? Uh, I would probably side yes on that prop just because if they decide who gets possession in the second half, and that's kind of an advantage there. So I think yes. Will this team score 30 points? I'm on team no for that one because I believe that this game is going to be a low scoring game, that the defenses are going to shut down the passing, and it's going to be more running, which is going to run out clock, and there's not going to be as many opportunities to score. Which team will score first? I think the 49ers will, but and that's really a coin flip there. It could be the Chiefs, but I'm building a story in my head that the 49ers are victorious here, so I'm going to give them a first shot here. But again, who will record the first sack? The 49ers, Chiefs, or neither? Well, I do think there'll be at least one sack. And I think that the Chiefs will get it just because like Mahomes has been very elusive, and even the Ravens, like decent pass rush, they only got to him once, and a lot of other good pass rushers couldn't get to him. I know they have the offensive line issues, but I think he gets the ball out fast enough, and that he goes through his progressions better than Purdy. So I see Purdy getting sacks first. So give me the Chiefs on that one. Which player will score the first touchdown? Um, I'm taking other just because you get 6 points for it, but I think McCaffrey or Kelsey are probably or Pacheco are safe bets. That's pretty wide open, but and I'm not touching the no touchdown scores because I highly doubt that's going to happen. Um, there should at least be like 3 or 4 touchdowns in the game. But I again, I'm taking the other on that one. Next question. What will the first half combined score? Will be over or under 23? Well, since I'm betting the under on everything, and usually teams kind of feel each other out in the first half, I'm giving it the under 23.5 at halftime. Which team will have the most penalty yards? I'm going with the 49ers because if you're a conspiracy theorist and you think that the NFL and the whole Taylor Swift thing and they want the Chiefs to win this one, then they're going to penalize the 49ers just to try to give the Chiefs a better chance to win. And the Chiefs have been pretty disciplined through, but they do have like Tony out there. If the Ravens were in this, obviously we know the Ravens would be because they penalized themselves out of the game. But I think the 49ers will be. There's also an option for a tie. That's possible, but like it's very rare that both teams yardage for penalties add up exactly, especially when you have like half the distance to the goal, because that's going to be like a 3 yard penalty sometimes, or like you know like like odd amounts and not like increments of like 5 or 10 or 15. So that definitely is a hard sell there for a tie, so go 49ers on that. Will the last play of the game be a QB rush or kneel? I believe yes, probably. It seems like most games are run out that way. These teams seem to be able to manage the games pretty well. Um, or it seems like one of them makes a mistake and then the other team gets the ball and then they run the clock out that way. Which team will turn the ball over first? I think Brock Purdy, I trust less than Mahomes, so I have the 49ers for that one. How many songs will be played during the halftime show? Most of the sites had an 8.5. This has a 9.5. So I think under 9.5. So that would mean that they have to play 10 songs, and 10 songs seems like a lot. Um, I think the average is like 8 to 9. So I'm going to stay on the under for that one. Oh, my favorite one. And that's my favorite one because few Super Bowls ago, I think it was the Punt Fest one, um, before COVID in like 18 or 19. I bet I got 5,000 to 1 odds on the first Maroon 5 song, and I picked Harder to Breathe just because when that song first came out, it was the only like edgy song that they had. It was the first song that they had off of their first album, Songs About Jane. It was their debut. As soon as I heard it, I knew this band was going to be successful. And I picked that, put $100 down, won 5 grand. So I've always loved this question. So what will Usher's first song be? And I'm really into music myself. I played in bands for years. I played guitar for 30 years. And the one thing that I noticed about concerts, and I've attended a lot, is that people usually open with songs that are kind of drawn out. So you can kind of have like a vamp, or you can kind of have like just a note just played and like sustained and just as it builds. And the song that screams that to me is OMG, and it's not with other artists, so it'd just be Usher. I can just hear, just the beginning part of it, and there's a pause, and then it just like the phrasing is just so slow, and it just builds and builds and builds, and then all of a sudden it goes to the OO's part, and it just explodes. And I think that's the perfect song to open up. So I did find a sports book that I got a 375 odds on that. So hopefully that comes true for me also. So that's the one. There are some other Usher songs there. Let me look back at it. The choices are Love in the Club. I don't think you can start that one. Yeah, I don't think so because that has Lil Jon and Ludacris. That seems to be like deeper into the set. My Way, not really familiar with that one. DJ Got Us Falling in Love. I don't think so. Good Good is his latest hit. But I don't think that he's going to do that one. I think there's other people on that one also. So but you can also pick other for 2 points, so maybe that is the safer bet. But I'm thinking OMG is where I'm going for that one. How many passing yards will Patrick Mahomes have? I have under 257.5. How many passing yards will Brock Purdy have? I have the under on that one. It's 246.5. How many receiving yards will Travis Kelce have? I have over 68.5 because I think that we've seen him get a lot of chunk plays there, and I think that's easily obtainable even against a good defense. It just seems to add up so fast. I mean, that could be like seven, 10-yard passes, and could definitely see that happen if he's locked on him. How many will Ayuk have? I think it's going to be under. I think it's going to be the ground game. I think maybe they'll take a couple deep shots at him, but I think pretty much most of the balls are going to go to McCaffrey on the ground, Kittle, and Samuel. How many rushing will Christian McCaffrey have? 89.5. I think over 100 yards. He just averages so much per carry, and he's just such a workhorse. Which will be the highest scoring quarter? I'm going with the third quarter because it seems like the first and second they try to fill each other out. And when they come out in the third quarter, it seems like they've made the adjustments and they're able to go. And then it seems like the teams have to readjust to shut them down. And then they start running like the clock in the fourth quarter. So third quarter to me makes it sound like now there is an option for a tie, which is high. That's possible too. But I think the third quarter is where most of the points are scored logically to me. Will there be a 2-point conversion attempted? Yes. Kickers miss the get a couple field goals and stuff. I think you see them quite often, and some teams just go for two just to go for two. I mean, if it's Detroit, this would be a slam dunk, yes. But yeah, I think we'll go there with the 2 point. Will the 49ers win and cover the spread, winning by 1.5 points or more? I think yes. I know a lot of people are against me. I know there's a lot of money um, out there on the 49ers, and I know some people have the conspiracy theory. Let's go for the Chiefs because if the money's on the 49ers, Vegas don't want to lose it. They're going to fix it so that they don't. But I think the 49ers do win this one. What color will the Gatorade be? Who cares? I'm gonna assume red or pink. Like you have all different color, like purple Gatorade. Have you ever seen purple Gatorade? Was that grape? Sounds like I like orange or maybe blue or I don't think lemon lime maybe, but like I'm going with red. Both teams are red, so red makes sense. Taylor Swift has a song called Red. Of course, this would be red. Will the total points scored be odd or even? Gonna go odd because like even I don't know. I always like odd numbers. I'm gonna go with 31. So both numbers are odd. Odd's my thing. What will the final combined total score be? I'm going under. Again, I think it's gonna be defensive battle. And the final question is who the MVP is. I think McCaffrey's gonna get it. I could see Mahomes, I could see Kelsey. But between those three, I think it is Emily and McCaffrey. So that's what I got for you. So again, hopefully that was fun for you. Thanks for watching. And if you have a question, put in the chat below. Hit me up at MegaRower31 on Twitter. If you want more information on DFS, and like I said, we got tons of stuff coming up, then go to the description of the video. You get to our website. You can see what our packages and things are there. So, and stay tuned and follow us on X, formerly Twitter, because sometimes we'll throw out coupon codes and things like that too. So, if you want to try us out, then check out for some of our sales and deals and stuff. And we're relatively low priced anyway. So, our goal is just to try to help you out. We want you to be able to play DFS responsibly and to be able to stay in the game for the long game to build a bankroll. We want to help you out with that. So we're more about helping people and then try to take your money and become rich. um, we want to try to help you win. So appreciate you watching here. So again, you know how to get a hold of me. Good luck in your contests. If you're out going celebrating, have a safe, responsible time. East Coast, we're buckling up for some weather coming up, but exciting. So looking forward to another good season next year in NFL. Thanks for watching. We'll try to be back for videos next year. But in the meantime, got some of the spring sports starting here, like NASCAR, baseball is going to be starting. We're still doing NBA. McKinley's still grinding away on hockey. Um, we've got golf too, which is uh, we have do a lot of research on that and give you a lot of statistics in that room. So a lot of the people that play that have really enjoyed that and found success. So lots to do here on FSI DFS, and check it out. So Mega Rower 31 signing off for the season. Thank you once again for watching these videos, and we'll see you next year if I don't see you in another sport coming up soon. Take care.